Hello, everybody, and welcome. Today, I've got Stephanie here on our call, and I'm so excited, Stephanie, for you just to share your story. I've loved getting to know you and just watching your whole journey unfold. And I think that your story is going to be really inspiring and helpful to other people who may be in a similar situation of should I pivot my business? Is there something I should be doing differently? So maybe you already own a business and you're contemplating like, hey, maybe should I go into more of the digital space? What if can I have an online business? Can I work from anywhere? Is being a virtual assistant the right thing? Even further, like what about owning an agency where you're more managing lots of different contractors and things? If you're kind of trying to figure that out and wondering, this could be the conversation for you. So, Stephanie, just introduce yourself a little bit. Tell us where you live and how many kids you have, and just give us a little bit of background, and then we'll dive into your story.
So I live in North Carolina. I'm in the foothills, which is fantastic and beautiful. I have five grown kids. One is I don't have any kids living here, but one lives next door because she's in college and she lives with grandma to kind of give her some freedom, but
Yeah.
she's still right here. But yeah, I have a grandson who's two, and I have a granddaughter on the way. I'm so excited. And we live on a homestead of sorts. And I'm trying to think, what do I have? We have dogs and cats and chickens and ducks.
I love that.
I think that's it. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm married to Dale. We've been married 33 years,
Nice.
which sounds crazy when you
Congratulations.
say that number out loud.
I know, right?
Oh,
Totally.
33 years. Wow. Our oldest daughter's about to have her 12th wedding anniversary.
Oh
Which
my goodness.
I don't seem I don't feel old enough to have a kid that's been married 12 years, but
Yeah.
so
Wow. That okay, that one got me. Yeah.
yeah,
That's a whole nother level, right? It just yeah, time is crazy. It just
yeah.
going so fast. So, yeah, so you're in the empty nester stage, and so you had another business before your virtual assistant business. Tell us a little bit about that, and what was it? What did you do? And then, like, what even made you start that business?
So way back in 100 years ago, no, when my kids were really young and
Yeah.
we were poor,
Yep.
we needed we lived in an area down in Charleston, South Carolina, where a lot of my kids' friends were kind of, up there in income, and we
Sure.
were poor. And I didn't want them to always go empty-handed to birthday parties.
Mm.
So they skipped a lot of those types of things because I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the money to buy it seemed like every month they were going to one of them. Because when you have 3 or 4 kids, there's a
Right.
ton, you know,
Yeah.
friends and all that, and I don't know, I was just always embarrassed. So my mom asked for a cooking arrangement for Mother's Day. And she sent me a link. I won't say the company, but we had a store downtown Charleston that was a store for this company. And I was like, I'm gonna go check this out because it was ridiculous, the price.
Yeah.
I was like, what do they have? And I was like, I'm down there looking. I was like, I think I could do this.
Yep.
Always being like someone who's resourceful and creative at the same time. I love the idea of it. So I decorated cookies. I
Nice.
learned how I went online, which was crazy back in the early 2000s
Yeah.
when internet was not quite as easy to, navigate. And I found a recipe by Wilton, which is the cake company.
Yeah.
And I had decorated cakes and stuff. I'd
Okay.
always done my kids' birthday cakes. So I had a little bit of a
Yeah.
understanding of how things work. Found the recipes for the cookie, for the icing, how to put them on a stick, how to put them in a floral arrangement. I found all this stuff and I was like, surely I can. So I did the first one for one of my daughter's friends, and it just exploded, like, immediately. Or
Wow.
like, "Wait a minute, these taste really good, and this is beautiful, and how do you do that?" So it exploded, wanna say it was 2004.
Okay.
So that's 21 years
Yeah.
ago. Crazy.
That is
So
crazy.
anyway, I started not taking orders. I kind of at the beginning, I was like, no, I don't really do it as a business. I just do it as a hobby. And I was really scared to
Yeah.
like do that. But I did it for every single birthday
Wow.
party they got invited to. Whatever the theme was or whatever that kid liked.
Oh,
I literally had an X-Acto knife that I was sterile and clean, but I would print out the images and then cut the dough out with the knife. Like,
wow.
I did it was so primitive because I couldn't afford cookie cutters.
Yeah. Yeah.
I so it just but people went wild over it, and very quickly, I was like, "I could bring in extra money,"
Yeah.
and that's how it started.
I love it.
I did that for probably 18 years.
Okay. Wow.
And at there were several points, like if my husband got laid off from his job,
Hmm.
that was our income.
Yeah.
I made enough money
That's
that
amazing.
that was how we paid our bills.
Yep.
But when it wasn't that, it was pocket change. We went to Disney World one year. I saved all my money and we went to Disney World. We did a lot of stuff like that. I just called it pocket change, but
Yeah.
really it could have been a lot bigger.
Yeah.
I couldn't manage it.
Sure.
So if it was bigger than but anyway, that's how I didn't know what a VA was,
Yeah.
but I knew I needed help.
Right.
So
You
I
needed a
did
VA.
pay my daughter
Yeah. Yeah.
to be a VA, and I didn't know what to
Yeah.
do. I was
Not.
just said, "I just need you to make sure I have a calendar with all
Yes.
my orders on it, the
Yes.
date that they're due, the date" like, I just
Uh,
needed the basic
yes.
information, and I just need you to to make sure that I have that, and she lived at home at
Right.
the time. She was a
Yeah.
teenager. I paid her, like, I don't know, not a lot, but I gave her a little bit of money, and that's what I did. So that
I
was my
love
first
that.
so when I saw that my kids were leaving,
Yeah.
my husband was contracting, so he was traveling all over the country, and everybody was kind of almost gone. We
Yeah.
took in an extra one at the end when after everyone was gone, we got one back, so we
Yeah.
got a bonus.
Yeah.
And, I was like, "I gotta be free to go where my kids go.
Right.
I don't and I gotta be free to go where my husband is."
Yeah.
But I couldn't because I'm the only one who can do this job.
Right.
No one else can do it. You know,
Right.
my girls used to like, they would do the parts of the baking I hated, like making cookie dough,
Sure.
rolling it out,
Yeah.
cutting the shapes out. All I wanted to do was decorate cookies. I was done with all of the messy parts of it and all that. So I'd already started paying. Well, once they were gone, I didn't have any help anymore and I didn't need the money as much.
Sure.
And so I just kind of was like, and I didn't enjoy it.
Sure.
It was a lot. And I missed my kids and I missed my husband.
Yeah.
And so that's how I kind of stumbled into the VA Academy.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I found you, but I know I looked at several
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, these are people like me.
Yeah.
These are people like me." When I was frantic working all night long on something that I should have known was coming.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, a virtual assistant, that makes sense. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this.
Yeah.
This can't be that hard.
Yeah.
And so I'm not, I'm impulsive and I just took the leap. And I was like, I didn't ask anybody. I didn't talk to my husband about it. I was just like,
Yeah.
I'm doing gotta do it. Gotta do it.
I love
Because
that.
I needed the freedom.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So I love you said several things. First of all, I love that attitude of like, that doesn't look that hard. I think I can do it. And a lot of businesses are born out of that, honestly.
yeah.
You know, it's taking a look at something and thinking it can't be that hard, or I think I could do that a little better. You know, and
Mhm.
that's how my music school was born, for sure. I saw the local music shop offering lessons and they would hand out a flyer with each teacher's name and say, contact them. I was like, what? I can do this better, you know,
Mhm.
and so I started being like the clearinghouse. People would contact me and I would match them to a teacher. And that's how I expanded my piano teaching business. Well, that's kind of now what we do in the VA Academy, right? Like you can contact us for a VA and we will match you up because there's so much value in that, right? So anyway, back to, I think I could do that or I think I could do that better. It's a great way to start a business. And it met your needs. It was exactly what you needed at the time. And I just think you're scrappy, Stephanie. I think you're just like, I'm scrappy. I can figure this out. And I love that you recognize the need for the calendar and detail stuff without even knowing what a VA was. But that's essentially what you hired. And it's so important because a business owner is doing so much. There's so much to manage. We can't fall through the cracks of the orders, right? And fulfillment or getting paid. I shudder to think how many students did I not charge because I would look at their little list and I'd go, I think they gave me a check and I'd check it off. Who knows, right? Because I couldn't keep doing both. So even if you own a business where you feel like, oh, I need that administrative help, it doesn't mean that you're not wired to do it. It might just mean that your brain is full of the current business you're doing. So if you're at a crossroads like Stephanie and like I was too, of like, hang on, now my kids are getting older, my needs are changing, I want more flexibility. And that was what I felt the same too. I didn't want to be tied to a local business. I wanted to have a business that I could serve anyone anywhere and I could also be geographically anywhere. So now that you have this business, kind of contrast that for us. Has that worked out for you? Have you been able to visit kids and have more freedom?
Absolutely. I have spent, a couple weeks. My daughter lives, up in the upper Midwest where you are.
Yeah.
I have a son down in Florida. My husband, wherever he is, I actually am going next week up to where my husband's working right now. I'm going to stay a
Good.
couple weeks
Uh,
because he's in a little bit more of a permanent, or I don't always do this because sometimes I fly, but usually I drive
yeah.
because I can take all my stuff,
Right.
right? So I can throw a little small monitor and all my,
Yeah.
I don't have to take my big desktop, which
Right.
that's what I use at home in my
Sure.
office. So when
Yeah.
I was at my son's house, he works, his wife works. I work during the day while they were at
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
We had every free moment together.
Yeah. I
When
love
I'm at
that.
my daughter's house, it's a different story. She doesn't, she's home. She's a
Yeah.
nanny, but she only works like 3 days a week. So
Sure.
the days that she was home, I just locked myself in the
Yeah.
bedroom and said,
Yeah.
"Hey, I need like 2 hours to knock some stuff out,"
Yeah.
and just locked myself in my room, my laptop, and did what I needed to do.
Yeah.
But then I got all that time with my kid
Right.
and, was able to see friends and all that kind of stuff. So that's the difference.
Right.
'Cause in a cookie business, that's a very tangible, physical
Yep.
thing, and I must be sitting at
Yeah.
this very same desk that I'm
Right.
sitting at now is
Yeah.
where I decorated cookies for 18 years.
Yeah. Wow.
So, I I had all different setup. This is just I have been able to do so much, and there was a couple of weeks where I was very sick, and I was able to call my daughter and say, "Hey, could you maybe keep this thing kinda rolling?" I let my clients know,
Yeah.
"Hey, my daughter is handling it."
Right. And
And
honestly, Stephanie, that's so wise, right?
yeah,
You can be a VA that's just a total solopreneur and people make it work. Absolutely. Of course. That's what we teach in the academy. But we also teach this next level of multiplying yourself. I mean, honestly, like at our music school, we had to have subs once in a while, right? That teacher couldn't be there every time. We had to have a sub list. You have to be able to have someone to fall back on. And so I love that. I love that you have your daughter. Clearly, you've worked together in the past. And I love that honesty up front too. I'm the same way. I'm just going to be transparent because that integrity piece, that honesty piece is really important and it builds more trust, right? For
it
them to
really
know
does.
legit, you don't feel good, but this stuff is getting handled. They're like, okay, check, check.
Yeah,
Probably instills more trust.
it really did, actually. It They were all like, "Oh, don't worry about anything I've got." I was like, "No, no, there's things we need to maintain."
Yeah.
I can't let your email go for a whole week. That's
Right.
really not cool. But, and there's a lot of instances. My son had to have an emergency hernia surgery. And I was like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
It was there and I had to flip around. And the next day I got home
Yeah.
from a retreat. I had to drive to Florida 9 hours
Wow.
because he was having an emergency surgery,
Yeah.
and I just threw my laptop in a bag
Yeah.
that my husband actually packed because he's amazing. He packed all my stuff, and I just basically transferred my suitcase to my car and
Yeah.
just took dirty clothes and
Yeah.
all, Florida.
Yeah.
But I still worked,
Right.
and but it was a weekday I was driving, so I just sent an email, said, "Hey,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be available today,
Yeah.
but if you have an emergency, I'll check my email or I'll call you back." I have a
Yeah.
couple clients that at the time who would call me.
Yeah.
So I would say, "Hey, I'll give you a call when I'm not driving," or whatever was safe.
And also, I have to just point out, like, isn't this season of life so different? Because I'm similar as you, right? Like, you think, oh, an empty nester, like, so much freedom. But really, at any point, an adult child could need you, right? My son just had emergency surgery this week, like, totally didn't know this was coming. And this week, boom, it's happened on Friday. Okay. But I can adjust. I can change. I can be like, what do you need? My daughter in law got sick this week. Shake the grandbaby. I can say yes. And that's what I love. I love having a job that works around my schedule
Mhm.
instead of being restricted by my job. Like I can work around my family
Right,
instead of my family working around my work. Right?
right.
And that's what's so so important for me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think too, it took me a while, and I don't know, I know this is probably true of everybody, but I'm not a good employee, okay? Which is why I never worked. I'm not a good employee.
Stephanie, we're too creative. We're too like we have
Don't
to have our freedom. Don't tell me what to do, right? Like don't box me in.
like,
Yeah.
it's okay, like, I don't even want you to physically box me in. Like, don't hug me too tight, don't
Yeah,
hold it,
sure.
like, but for my brain is
Yeah,
so I don't know. I couldn't go and do the same thing every single day. I
me
would lose
neither.
my mind.
Oh, I would lose my mind.
But
100%.
there is a part of being a VA when you have a client versus an employer,
Right.
you have to like it took me a while to train my brain that I didn't work for them. I
Right.
was a partner in their
Yeah. Right.
and if I can't because I had a client early on who expected me to be available Monday through Friday, 8 to 4 in the hours that she was working. And I needed that in the beginning because I needed to know I hated that.
Right. Right.
Ma'am.
Yeah.
you And then she would text me at like 7 o'clock at night.
No, no,
She
no,
would
no.
say in the morning, well, you didn't answer my text. Well, yeah, because it was 7 o'clock at night. I don't work for you 24/7. I'm not
No,
your
no.
personal assistant. Now, if I have that kind of an agreement and I know that that's the expectation,
Sure.
that's fine.
Right.
But that's not what we're doing, and
No,
I don't wanna be
no.
tied to
That's
8
right.
4.
No, that's right. That's right.
And so, I think that I think the whole thing, it was really slow for me
Sure.
getting started. Not because I'm not capable,
Right.
but because I'm a learner,
Yeah.
and I needed to understand every part of this and make sure that I could do it. I was afraid to, like, do it, what do you call it? Fake it till you make it?
Yeah.
I was afraid to do it like that
Yeah.
because I'm so, I don't know. I need to know.
Yep. Yep.
And so it took me like a year, I think, to get a client. I could have had a client. I
Yeah.
had the
Of course.
skills. I had the, whatever, but I just wasn't comfortable
Let
with
me
it.
just interject with that I see in the program, we've had dozens and dozens and dozens of people go through it. And everybody's slightly different. And you said at the beginning of the call, you said, I'm impulsive. I jumped in. I didn't even tell anybody I just joined. I see that. And then you wanted all the information before you took
Mhm.
action. Some people want all the information before they sign up.
Right.
Well, then they may join and take action sooner. It's like everybody's just slightly different. Like where you process or where you need to take in the appropriate amount of information to take, it's just different. Some people learn as they go. So they're learning and taking action, learning, taking action. There's no one way to do it. And that's why I designed the program the way I did, and it was heavily influenced by the fact that I homeschooled my kids, that I saw different kind of learners, right? I knew I've researched so many different type of curriculum, it's not even funny. Like, I'm a
Yeah.
nerd that way, right? So I've observed, like, what works, what doesn't, what are different learning styles, what do people need? So we've created the VA Academy so that you can absolutely go at your own pace. There's live help all the time when you need it. But if you need to just sit and absorb all the calls and all the information before you get a client, no problem. If you want to get a client and then panic and ask the questions, that's fine too, right? Like, everybody's different, but we've allowed space for that.
Yeah, and I think too, for me, being the very impulsive,
Mhm.
also insecure human,
Yeah.
I didn't even really I didn't know how to follow the program.
Yeah.
Like, I jumped in and started doing challenges.
Yeah.
I hadn't even read all the stuff I got in the mail and,
Sure.
like, the roadmap. I had no idea there was a roadmap.
I love
You know, it's like, I think I had my first it probably was Rachel.
I think I remember this.
And I reached out to Rachel and I was like, "I feel really stupid
You're
because
like,
I
I
feel
think
like
I'm missing something.
I think I'm missing something." And she's like, "Well, did you do this, this, and this?" And I was like, "I don't even know what that is." And she's like, "Oh my gosh." And I know she was probably laughing, but that's how quickly I had to change.
Yeah.
I knew I could do this. I
Yeah.
was like, I'm already doing this.
Yeah.
I've done
Yeah.
this on a really large scale already. I worked
Exactly.
first.
Yes.
I lived over 10 counties.
Yeah.
I know how to manage. I know
Yep.
how
Yep.
to, you know, I know all this stuff.
Mhm.
I just jumped in with both feet. And then I like freaked out because I was like, well, I've done all these challenges, but I don't know
Yeah.
how do, and Rachel's like, oh my God, I know because I know her now, right? And she's probably like, this lady is insane. But
It's like, you know what? She had a cookie decorating business.
it,
Oh, that
she
makes
was
sense.
She's one of those people. Okay. So it was fine. And once I got like right side up and was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then I don't feel stupid. I'm not one to like wallow in
Yeah.
my, whatever. And I was like, you're a dumb dumb.
No.
Like
And you know
this is
what?
so easy.
Just insider secrets. Every time something like that happened, it also prompts me to go, okay, how can we make this a little more clear? So
Yeah.
we even changed how we present the material, even based on that experience. So you helped us develop the program, Stephanie.
And that's what I like to do with my clients.
Yeah.
It's, okay, I'm confused and
Yes.
I'm your assistant.
That's right.
I don't understand what you're trying to do here.
Yeah.
Part of what I have found that I really enjoy, if you wanna get into that,
Yeah.
I enjoy strategic is my number one
Yep.
Clifton strength, okay?
Yep.
It is the first one,
Yep.
and I if I get confused and I'm your VA, then I'm not the only one who's confused.
Exactly.
It
Exactly.
really but the problem with that, and where I really struggled with that, is I found out I really hate a lot of the VA stuff, okay?
The VA task, like traditional VA tasks.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not gonna hate it, okay?
Yeah.
I can keep books,
Yeah.
okay? I know how to keep I know how to
Right.
do whatever.
But it's not challenging probably to you.
No, I don't wanna enter data into
Right.
I don't wanna organize a spreadsheet, I hate spreadsheets. Actually, my husband did a lot of that in the beginning.
Yes, I
Like,
remember that. I remember
I'm
that.
like, "I don't know, the
Yep.
formula?"
Yeah.
Failed geometry in high school because I could not my brain could not. She passed me in summer school because she felt sorry for me. Because I came every day. I was in
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
literally but when I found out as an adult, right? Okay, I'm ADHD, maybe autistic, whatever. I do things backwards.
Sure.
And so, if we're working on a project together that requires measuring and math, my husband's like, "Why are you doing that?" I was like,
Yeah.
"Just let me show you
Yeah.
my process." And he's
Right.
like, "That is the weirdest way I've ever seen somebody come up with the right
You
answer."
come
Like,
at it. when you say backwards, do you come at it like big picture first?
Yes.
Think, yeah, because that's how I am too. I need to see the whole thing and work backwards. Like
Yes.
someone's explaining rules of a game, don't start at the beginning. Tell me, like, what is the big objective? Like, what are we
No.
doing here? And I do
Yes.
think, so to your point, you are strategic. So yeah, we can laugh about being bad at math and stuff, but you're really, really strong in other areas. And that's what I tell my kids. I'm like, I'm good at other things. Okay. I'm just not good at math. I just don't like it. I'm good, but I just don't like it. And so when your brain is wired differently, you and I are way more right-brained creative. But then you
Mm.
add in the strategic, what you're saying is when you get a new client as a VA, you're able to see the big picture and immediately identify this is confusing and I don't think this is right, which is a huge benefit to them because they're
Right.
getting fresh eyes with someone who is invested in their success, right? Like they're your client. You want them to do well. So
Mhm.
you're going to be able to say, like, "Can I ask you a question?" They clarify and you go, "Oh, okay, because that was not clear. So what do we need to change? What do we need to do?" So it's very, very valuable to the client. But I do think that is your strength, Stephanie. And that's why you're kind of like, yeah, I could do spreadsheets and bookkeeping, but that, meh. Whereas you like the challenge, right? I mean, you can talk about it, but I see you really enjoying more sales pages and opt ins and this connects to this and then this goes to here. And how do we make that happen? And that's such a value to your clients. It's not the world of VA is so wide, and that's what I
Right.
love about it too. So customizable. Anyone in the academy, we figure out which services you should offer based on your strengths. And
Right.
you've referenced Clifton Strengths. That's one of the assessments we use. We use two others as well. But it's such good language. It's shared language to be able to discuss, like, you are wired to do what. And Stephanie, because you come, I think it's important to really realize these are two things are connected. The cookie creative business has led into, oh, I know this stuff. I've done this, but also I can be creative with the strategic marketing for my clients because that's how your brain works.
Yes.
Do you agree? Like, can you give more thoughts about that?
Yes, because when I first started and I had the first couple of clients,
Yeah.
it was mostly the back end and, email and organizing email and, you know, some of it was like drafting emails or it wasn't a lot of
Yeah.
there wasn't much. I went through a stage where I was really sad and I missed decorating cookies, even though I was really done. When I was done,
Right.
I gave away or sold like most everything, but I missed the creative part of it, and I
Sure.
didn't know yet
Right.
about marketing,
Sure.
and I
Okay.
didn't know about Canva and
Right.
what I could do, and I
Yeah.
didn't know about sales pages and opt-ins and
Yes.
lead magnets,
Yes.
and I knew none of that terminology. Just for example, I have a potential client that I have a meeting scheduled with next week. But when I was looking at her website to kind of check her out, I stalk everybody.
Yep.
Um, I found mistakes.
Sure.
And I was like, oh, well, she needs a VA.
Yep.
She's perfect in this.
Yep.
I like that. I don't necessarily want to do that always, but I was like, she needs this, this, and this.
Yep.
Then this morning, right before I talked to you, I had an interview with the guy about a website.
Yeah.
And he's like, "This is what I need. This is what I don't need." And based on talking with Chris, I was like, I've never done just a website.
Sure.
I've always had it in as part of something else I was doing." And he kind of gave me the rundown of like what to ask and how to base my pricing and all of that. And I was like, I was so confident because I've done my own. I've done several
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
people. And, I think that just, like, play into my strengths
Yeah.
and giving myself a creative place
Yes. Exactly.
has really changed because creativity is not necessarily putting colors on a paper
That's
in
right.
some way. Well, it's a medium, right? It's
Right.
not painting or I love to paint.
Yeah.
I love to decorate cookies. I love to but I don't miss that anymore because I'm able to create flyers, or I did work with the music school for a while, and she just wanted graphics, and I so enjoyed that.
Yeah.
It was just like, "What's your theme for the month? What do you want?" And then I was able to pull images and
Yeah.
create stuff, and I really, really dig that.
Awesome. Yeah.
Um, somebody like, but like this guy that I went through his membership and created every single graphic,
Yep.
every web page, every landing page, every sales page. I created the whole funnel, start to finish. Like
Yeah.
I enjoyed, and I think I didn't realize that's creativity.
Yeah.
Where I'm going with that. Like
Yeah.
I'm strategic
Yes.
and I'm creative.
Yes.
And if those things are married in a project,
Exactly.
I'm like on fire. I can knock
Exactly.
that thing out in like 2 days because I can't stop thinking about it.
Yep. And let me tell you, Stephanie, it's such a need in the small business world. VAs are needed, period. But
Yeah.
this is next level. Okay.
Yeah.
Because when you have strategy and creativity, this is the brain that those business owners need. Because even if they have it, you need an outside source. You need someone to ping pong ideas off of. You
Yeah.
need someone to implement what you've come up with, right? And so it's so beneficial. So if you're watching this and you're like, "Whoa, this kind of sounds like me." Stephanie has hit on a couple things like the words, funnel, sales page, opt-in. That might be new language for some people, right? Like maybe you've never heard of it, like Stephanie had never heard of it.
Yeah.
It's actually something we consume, like you probably once you knew what it was, you're like, "Oh, I've seen that here, there, and everywhere," right? But you don't realize the back end of it. But it takes strategic creativity, and that's what I love too. It just lights my brain up. It's so fun and interesting. And honestly, it's very lucrative. So this is just the beginning for you, right? Like I love the experiences you've had because you're going to take not only your prior work history and your cookie business, but now all of these first clients, you're going to
Mhm.
take all that knowledge into the future for future clients. And it just keeps building. And that's what I love too, is it isn't something you have to go to school for 4 or 8 years and then start doing. You need to learn, you need to be prepared, but then there's so much learning on the job because there's no way we can learn it all before. Everything's constantly changing, new platforms are popping up. Just even what works, what's effective online, what's effective on social media, all those things, it's just constantly evolving. So
Mhm.
if you're the type of person who likes that and you're ADHD because you like novelty and new things, this is going to be great for you. It's such a good outlet. So have you enjoyed continuing to learn new skills like that?
Yes, because I think you, in learning what you love, you learn what you hate.
Yes, exactly.
And when you learn what you hate, you start looking because you got this client and you hate. This is how I said, maybe I want to hand some of this off.
Yes.
Not everybody, like you said, not everybody wants to hand things off. But I've had like weeks where I'm like, I don't like this.
Yep.
And I would just go over to the group and say, "Hey, is anybody interested?" Or privately, I would message somebody I knew was good at XYZ,
Exactly.
because I think for me personally, I don't do well doing things I don't like to do,
Same.
which is why I'm an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
not an employee.
Yep.
And we
Exactly.
and some people are wired. I have kids that are wired to be an employee. They'll always be an employee
Yeah.
because they don't want to do the work of like what they don't want to. They just want to be told what to do their job, and go home. There's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
And if you're a VA who only wants to do your little niche thing, I think that's wonderful.
Sure.
There's still room to scale and grow and everything. But for
Absolutely.
me,
Yes.
I learned more in the last 2 years what I hate
Yeah.
than, and then as I learned what I hate, and then I would gravitate and talk to you or talk to somebody else and say, what is this?
Yeah.
And then, my old friend ChatGPT gets involved and I'm like, what is this? That
Yeah.
somebody would say in their little description, I need this, 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 and this. And I'm like, I have no idea what that even means. What is an SOP?
Yeah.
What is,
Yep.
what is
Yep.
whatever, all these acronyms? And I'm like,
Right.
I don't even know what that means, but I can find out. And I would ask ChatGPT and I would say, what does this mean? Okay, tell it to me in like fourth grade.
Yep.
But
Yep.
give it to me in a, you know, kids version. And then that's how I came to love ChatGPT, how I came to learn how to use it and all of that, because also it saves me time. But if I couldn't, lesson I had, there was a time where somebody wanted a logo and somebody wanted something else and somebody wanted something else. I was just able to say, hey, I know you're really good at XYZ. If I gave you X amount of dollars, would that be enough for you to do that for me? And it was worth it. I kept my client happy. I didn't have to do it. I didn't really make any money on it, but I kept the client
Right.
and
Exactly.
I could focus on what I wanted to do
Yep.
and what I was good at and hand off something else. I know because you and I have talked so much about it, I'm going to be able to scale where I'm not losing money by handing something off.
Correct.
But
Exactly.
I'm not quite there yet. And that's okay. But yes, I enjoy
Yeah.
learning.
Well,
That's
and
it.
what I love about what you said, first of all, it brings to mind kind of a general contractor type position. So
Yeah.
you can say yes to a project or you can bid for a project like this call on a website. You've mentioned that a couple times. You can throw your hat in the ring. Is it name in the ring, hat in the ring? What's the
Hat.
right?
I think it's hat.
Okay.
Name in the hat, hat in the ring,
There
whichever
you go.
one.
So you can, you can raise your hand and say, I'm interested, even if there's a piece or a couple pieces that either you don't excel at or you don't enjoy doing because you're a general contractor. So you can then turn around and hire the best logo designer, the best branding person, maybe someone to create those specific images or even edit video. And what I think is you can do that from anywhere, of course, but it's great in the VA Academy because we get to know each other and we trust each other. And so you can have this long bench of players ready to put in the game when you need them, right? I love that. And that's where you're headed. And right now, yeah, you're playing with, hey, is X amount of money, does that work for you to do this piece of it? Do they say yes or no? How did it work? Like you're still figuring it all out. That's how
Um,
you scale and grow your business. And you're in the mastermind program. So you know this is what we talk about all the time, right? We talk about how to say yes to bigger jobs, how to sell bigger packages, and how to have a bench so that we can call on those people. And they're not employees. We're not promising anything. We don't need to deliver. They're available for us to then bid part of the job to or whatever. And I think you and I both have sort of a visceral response to like, I don't like doing that. And maybe other people, it's more subtle. But I think for us, it really works because when you pay attention to that, you pay attention to the resistance and you don't keep pushing through it. But instead you go, wait, I hit that bumper. I'm gonna stay in my lane. And if I'm feeling resistance, I'm gonna delegate that. I'm gonna ask somebody else to do it. That's what we get to do as business owners. It's so great, right? And you made a point. The bottom line is that your client is happy
yep,
and you are able to say, yes, I can do that.
yep,
And maybe you don't do it all, but you still get it done
yep.
because you can bring in other people for whatever piece that you need.
And for the most part, they don't care who's doing.
No, they just want it done.
They don't want to think about it.
That's
They
right.
do not. They don't want to know that Uncle Joe's sister's brother's cousin is working on their web. They do not care.
No, they don't. They
I
want
talked to
to.
the guy. He's like, I don't want to do anything with maintenance. I didn't know there was
Exactly.
maintenance on a website.
Yep. They've got bigger fish to fry, right? They're running their company. They need to keep the sales coming in. They need to keep their clients happy. So
Yep,
they need us to be trustworthy and reliable. And if we don't know how to do something, we figure it out or we
yep.
outsource it. You
He's
know?
like, don't ask me how to
Yep.
do. I have a client right now who doesn't understand tech at all. Anybody who's looking for a way to supplement their income or they found themselves in a situation where they are the income,
Right.
um, there's a way for you to make an actual living wage and beyond if you want to,
Yeah,
without sacrificing your family.
that's right.
Even if you don't love every part of it in the beginning, you can. I had 3 clients and I was matching my husband's income.
I love it.
Okay. And that's not, I mean,
Yeah,
that's before taxes and that's all the
sure,
things. And
sure.
there's all of that,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Which I didn't understand,
Sure.
but it's fine. I didn't make enough to like break the bank, but I was like, whoa, I need to pay better attention to that next
Yeah,
year. So there's
yeah,
all of that too. Or I need
yeah.
to hire somebody to pay attention.
There
Yeah.
you go. There you go.
But I'm just saying,
Yeah,
there's enough potential there and enough people that need you. I think
yeah,
I also, because I live in the digital world and I'm online all the time and I'm researching, I tend to think everybody's like me
exactly.
and they're not.
That's right.
There's not an abundance of VAs to the point that VAs are going to be
No,
obsolete or
no,
there's
no.
enough of them where there's not enough business. That's
Oh,
not true
it's not
because
at
there's
all.
so many different.
Yeah,
If you have a multi-million-dollar company,
yep.
okay, and you need a personal assistant. Well, your personal assistant needs help.
That's
If
right.
you're I mean, I know this because I have a relative and my mom ran his company and my mom had it was an office setting,
Yep.
okay? But my mom had basically essentially VAs,
Yeah,
right? I
exactly.
need you to do this. I need you to do this. I need you to
You
do
have
this. Do you do
to.
this? And she was the manager.
That's right.
And basically a VA, depending on what you're doing, you can be an office manager,
Mhm. That's
right?
right.
You can be an, administrative
Yep.
manager, or you can be, doing the bookkeeping or the
Right.
data entry or the whatever
Mhm.
social media is. So I don't even want to, I don't,
But you
I,
can if you like it, you can.
but it's most of the people that I know that like it, love it,
Yeah.
and they should be doing it.
Yeah, that's right.
I shouldn't be.
Right,
It's
exactly.
furious every day.
Yep. Yep.
Well, I'm just saying that I think that what I thought too was that is this really gonna work?
Right.
Because
Right.
there's VAs everywhere. But
Right.
really there's not. It was just that I was looking at for it and
Right.
researching it and finding it everywhere. And then
Yeah.
of course it shows up in every ad and every thing.
Right.
So it
Right.
looks like it's a very saturated thing, but it's
Right.
really not.
It's not. Because there's business owners everywhere. And I don't know the statistics right off the top of my head, but like new businesses are born every day, right? And really small to medium business size companies run the world. I mean, really, like if you really dig into it. So there's no shortage of business owners. Our world keeps getting more and more and more techy, which means we will never be obsolete because the more techy it gets, the more assistance people need because it's so confusing. There's so much out there and changing. So, yeah, I love what you said, Stephanie, is like you kind of assume other people are like us. And I was the same way. Like, doesn't everybody Google things 1,000 times a day? Doesn't everyone love to learn these new things? No, they really don't, actually. So, we are such a gift. We are a good resource for the people who are like, don't want to do it, don't care, don't want to learn another thing, just handle it. Beautiful. So it's win-win 100%. So any final words if someone is maybe thinking about switching from a creative hands-on business to this, like you mentioned, like finding an outlet for your creativity. I think that's a really good point to not, you know, and maybe even as you're first building your VA business, supplementing that first year or so with something more tangible. I've gotten into adult coloring. I'm absolutely obsessed. It's just a really good way to not be on screen and
Yeah.
to do something that's total freedom for me. Like no one's checking my work, right? It's relaxing. It's great. So, what else would you advise if someone was looking to maybe make that transition?
I think make sure you have a creative outlet for sure. Um, don't isolate yourself.
Yeah,
I think another mistake I made was being less social.
sure.
I'm an introvert,
Right.
so I can be a hermit.
Yeah.
Um, if you're religious, fine, go to church,
Yeah.
be involved, do whatever's going on there. But if you're not,
Yeah.
I really have found, give yourself away somewhere.
Yeah, that's
When
good.
you give yourself away,
Mhm.
you you it's satisfying, not in a selfish way, but you when you're home, I guess is my point. I homeschooled my kids too. When you're home all day and there's no kids, if you're in my situation where you're in your 40s or 50s or 60s or whatever, y- you have to make yourself available
Yeah,
because there aren't kids. You don't
right.
have their friends coming in and out of your door all day.
Yeah,
You're not
it's new,
talking
it's
to their
different.
mom or their,
Yep,
whatever.
yep,
And so I think finding a place to serve
yeah,
is really important.
yep.
Benjamin Franklin said, "Those wrapped up in themselves make small packages."
Ooh, that's so good.
And that is one of the quotes I keep by me all the time.
Wow.
Because, so like in the VA group, I created the lead sheet. I've done some other things because I needed it for myself.
Yeah,
Sure, I could put it on Etsy and sell it, but I don't care. I
yeah,
don't need the money, but I
right.
can put it in the VA group and I can help.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I know it's helpful because it's
Right,
helping me. And
exactly.
it's the same vibe,
Yeah,
it's the same thing. I really think that's important. And I don't, it is a way to be creative, but it's a way to give back to a
yeah,
community that I'm part of.
exactly.
And I think that I needed to see all those things. Like,
Yeah,
I need to be creative, but it doesn't have to be decorating cookies.
that's
It
right.
doesn't have to be painting. It doesn't have to be something. It can be, I tend to be a tiny bit obsessive too.
Sure.
And so I want everything. I can wake up in the morning and come sit at my desk and start working from the time my eyes open.
Yeah,
And I've had to force myself to like, what is useful? How
yeah,
can I be a blessing to someone today? How
yeah,
can I, who do I need to check on today? I think the gratitude journal is so important. And I don't know why it's so much more important now that I'm home exclusively, and I'm
sure.
not dealing with customers back and forth all the time. Like, the
Yeah,
cookie business is hectic, and it's,
yeah,
every almost, every week I've got 15 people that
right.
I'm relating to and talking to and,
Yeah,
okay, and, communicating whatever various and different, and I did organize it eventually to where on this day I did this, and on this day I did this, and I had it very streamlined.
right,
But I was talking to people and
right.
communicating, and that is one area that even though I'm introverted, do you call an introverted extrovert or extroverted introvert? I don't know. You need people and you need
Yeah,
to give yourself away.
absolutely.
And when you don't have a revolving door anymore,
Yeah,
be hospitable.
yep.
Have people over for
So,
coffee.
essentially what you're saying is being intentional, right?
Yes.
It used to sort of just happen for us, and same with me, right? I'd stop in at my music school, I was talking to the front desk, I'd talk to teachers, whatever, and now it's like, okay, yeah, the blessing of working from home, and I love that, but yeah, you kinda have to, like, lift your head once in a while and
Yeah.
go, "Hang on, who have I not reached out to?" But what's great is I have the space for it now too, right? So I kinda have my list, and I can check in, and I can Marco Polo friends or text my kids or whatever, but yeah, going to church and seeing real faces, like, it's very, very important, and it fills us up, but you're right, like, serving, giving back, yes, it blesses us, but it blesses them, and you get to experience that, so I think that's such a good word of advice.
And you do reap the
That's
benefits
right. You reap what you sow.
because, even with clients, if we want to circle all the way back to the beginning, I've had clients previously that I helped with, whatever, one-off projects or just a short amount of time or whatever. I've had 3 people just reach back out to me and say, "Hey, I don't," they enjoyed me. They only needed me for a
Yep.
specific thing or whatever. And they're like, "Do you know how to do this? Or can you recommend this?"
Yeah,
So actually, I've had clients come back and say, "Would you be willing to do this?" So I've
absolutely.
gotten more
Yeah.
business
Yes.
without even doing anything except being intentional. I will
Exactly.
say one quick thing. I turn off my screens an hour or 2
Yeah.
before I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
I silence everything.
Yeah.
No
No,
one is gonna call me that can't get through, like
right.
my children or my husband.
Right.
I don't I turn my notifications off, I turn everything off, and I
Yeah.
get a physical book,
Good.
or try not to even listen to, like, a book. I try
Same.
to read a book
Yeah. So good.
or work a puzzle,
Yep.
or something, but I have this do you do Sudoku, like the mathing? Okay, this is totally weird and
Yeah.
will go, but I found it's a wooden board.
Oh.
It's like this big.
Yeah.
It's a Sudoku, but it's wooden marbles.
No
And
way.
it's whatever, however many numbers, 9
Yep.
colors,
Yep.
and
Nice
you
color.
work
Yep.
you work the problems in a
Yeah.
physical way.
Oh,
It
okay.
keeps
I
my
could do that.
brain
I could
it
do
it
that.
it tickles my brain.
I
I
love
hate
that.
the numbers. I hate
Yep.
Sudoku,
Okay,
but
thank
this is
you. Yes, I
physical.
hate the numbers too. So what's interesting, this sounds kind of similar. I don't play games on my phone. I'm just not a games person.
Yeah,
But this so I've had 2 surgeries in the last year. And so
right.
sometimes you have to find something to like, get your brain off the pain. So this is the only game I can do. It's called Ball Sort, and it's kind of
Oh,
similar to what you're saying because it's colors, right?
yes.
For you have to move them around and get all the same colors in the same column. And yeah, it tickles my brain. It's just because it's a little bit of strategy, but then it's color, and then you're fit. Yeah, but
And
physically
and
moving.
you don't have to erase anything.
Yeah,
It's
that's great.
tangible. I'm holding it's
Yes.
wood, very
Oh,
high quality,
that's very cool.
and I was like, "Alright." My daughter's like, "Mom,
That's awesome.
I got this thing." She's like, "I really like it, but I think you would be like,
Yes,
do this." So it
that's
starts off with
awesome.
easy, and it goes, but it's just, it's refreshing my brain. I think
Yeah.
one thing that VAs maybe don't do enough is stop working
You're right.
because you're home, right?
And you enjoy it.
I'm like, "You're not paying me enough to think about your business
Yeah,
24/7."
that's right.
To force
That's
myself
right.
to stop thinking.
Yes.
And the biggest takeaway, I tell everybody this: you cannot care more about your client's business than they do.
That
It's just a
yeah,
mindset shift, I think.
I totally agree, and that's why we teach, selling packages on
Yep,
retainer as well, because you don't want to have your payment be only responsive, right? When they do
right.
reach out, you want them they're securing your time in your brain, right? They're paying for you to think about and have energy for their business. So you should get paid no matter what. But absolutely, we can't care more because I've done that. I've done that before, right? We can't be more invested. Yes, we care about them. We care about their outcome, but ultimately it's theirs. We're
Yep.
here as a partner, but to be able to turn it off, read a book, play a game, excellent. Excellent boundaries, so good mentally, so good, just health-wise, honestly. So thank you so much, Stephanie, for I love
Awesome.
you. We could talk all day, as we know. But some really good nuggets. I loved hearing your story, and hopefully this was encouraging to whoever's listening. So thanks so
Yeah.
much for doing this with me. I really appreciate it.